The chances of one of us dropping dead by space trash falling down from the sky seems kind of slim. After all, we've never really heard anyone die for something like that. But come to think of it, there's more to the story than we think. As more rockets and satellites are launched, scientists calculated the probability of falling space junk killing somebody. Stay tuned to find out more. So, does this even happen? And does it affect us? Pretty much every minute of every single day, space junk pours down all over us, and we don't even know it. Tiny, invisible particles of comets and asteroids breeze through our atmosphere and subtly start to settle on the surface of our planet. Every year, this makes up about 40,000 tons of dust. What's more is that while it isn't a problem for us, debris of this kind can cause chaos on spacecraft, as the James Webb Space Telescope recently discovered. A larger sample occasionally arrives in the form of a meteorite, and once every 100 years or so, a body tens of meters in diameter manages to tear through the atmosphere and dig out a crater. Also, very rarely, thank goodness, objects over half a mile sized find their way to the Earth's surface, wreaking havoc, killing and destroying everything around. You remember what happened to our dinosaur friends, right? Yep, exactly. These are some examples of the natural debris falling through from space, which is hard to predict, hard to control, and can happen pretty much anywhere in the world. Yikes! Should we be worried? That was just the natural space junk. What about the man-made trash like rocket parts that might dive in to kill us? A new study that was published by Astronomy of Nature brainstormed the chances of people being killed by falling spacecraft parts over the next decade or so. The experts did their math and fancy calculations using what we can only guess is rocket science. But anywho, they kept in mind the population density below along with 30 years worth of satellite data and predicted where rocket debris and other space trash might land during their fall back to Earth. So, should people start to worry? And if so, then who? Turns out the answer is yes. Maybe people should start to worry a little bit, but let's not start panicking here. Scientists found a small but not insignificant risk of some junk coming back down within the next 10 years, but it'll probably happen over the southern latitudes rather than the northern ones. They even went down to some specifics, and it's a little terrifying. Rocket bodies were found to be 3 times as likely to go down in the cities of Jakarta in Indonesia, Dhaka of Bangladesh, and Lagos in Nigeria rather than New York City, Beijing, or Moscow in the USA, China, and Russia. Sounds a little fishy to us. The researchers also calculated potential losses, or the risk to human lives, from uncontrollable rocket re-entries over the next decade. Now, if we assume that each re-entry scatters murderous debris over a 10 square meter area, it means that there is a 10% probability that one or more casualties may happen within this narrow time frame. Now, that's a scary thought, and we hope that everyone remains safe from deadly space trash. But it seems like the number predicted may be slightly underestimated. To date, the odds of satellite and rocket debris causing damage to the Earth's crust or air traffic in the atmosphere is considered minimal. The majority of space debris research has concentrated on the threat posed by in-orbit non-functioning satellites that can interfere with the safe operation of functional satellites. What's more is that unused fuel and batteries also cause explosions in space, resulting in even more waste. But even so, as the number of companies involved in rocket launches grows and shifts from the state to private venture, we know you can think of a few. It's highly likely that the number of accidents, both in space and on ground, such as the one that took place after the launch of a Chinese rocket Tiangong 5B, will rise. This means it may be a bit more likely than we initially thought. Another study confirms our suspicion and warns us that the 10% figure is a big underestimate. Okay, but what can we do about it? All we've heard are problems so far. We need solutions. There are a handful of technologies that let you fully control the re-entry of rubbish into the atmosphere, but they're too expensive to implement. A spacecraft, for example, may be passivated, which means that unused energy like fuel or batteries is consumed instead of stored after the spacecraft's useful life. Also, the orbit of a satellite could also reduce the chance of debris generation as well. An idle satellite can be hardwired to enter low Earth orbit and burn up. That's not all. There are even attempts to launch reusable rockets, such as those demonstrated by SpaceX, and they're being developed by Blue Origin. They produce significantly less debris, but still, we can't avoid some of the paint and metal shavings falling back as they return to Earth in a controlled fashion. And what's being done currently? Fortunately, though, many organizations take risks seriously. The European Space Agency intends to use a 4-armed robot to catch and remove space debris. The United Nations, through its Office for Outer Space Affairs, issued a set of space debris mitigation guidelines in 2010, which were strengthened 8 8 years later. Even after all those rules, the authors of the new study point out that these are more like recommendations rather than international law, and they don't specify how mitigation should be put in place or monitored. The study says that high-tech and better missions design will lessen the rate of uncontrolled re-entry of spacecraft trash, lowering the global risk of hazard. It goes on to say that unguided re-entry of the rocket body is a problem that requires collective action. Solutions exist, but each launching state has to make them happen. As proven by the agreement to ban ozone-depleting chlorofluorocarbon chemicals, the demand for governments to work together is not unusual. Sadly for us, before such heroic moves can be taken, a major event with serious consequences for the Northern Hemisphere must take place first. Because that's the most important of the hemispheres, right? And we can't forget, changing international protocols and conventions also takes time. In 5 years, it will be 70 years since the first satellite was launched into space. This occasion would be worthy of commemoration if it were marked by a stronger and binding International Space Debris Treaty passed into law by all UN member states. In the end, such an agreement will benefit the entire world, and maybe we would all feel a little safer. We love talking about space here, and we know you love hearing about it. Keep watching this video to learn more space news. Did you know about the supernova that the JWST found? So recently, a brilliant light that was detected 3 billion light years from Earth by NASA's James Webb telescope is thought to be the $10 billion telescope's first sighting of a dying star blowing up. This is the last hurrah that happens when a star's gas gauge is on E, but more formally known as a supernova. This lowers the pressure, causing the cosmic object to expand to at least 5 times the mass of our Sun, the size of roughly 333,000 Earths. Holy moly! And then explode, releasing a lot of debris and particles. And this was kind of shocking because telescopes aren't meant to do that. Not only did James Webb find a supernova, but astronomers are puzzled by the revelation because the telescope wasn't really designed to detect dying stars. The potential supernova was photographed using the NIRCam instrument, which is created to detect light from the oldest stars and galaxies using a wide range of infrared light. NIRCam is outfitted with coronagraphs, which allow astronomers to take photos of very faint objects surrounding a central bright object, just like stellar systems, or, in this instance at least, stellar explosions. That's wild. Finally, let's talk about how Hubble wasn't able to capture the supernova. The team used software to compare the James Webb image to the one taken by the Hubble Space Telescope in 2011, which allowed them to identify the small bright light. Mike Engesser of the Space Telescope Science Institute and his colleagues used software designed to detect differences in photos, which resulted in the bright speck. Well, it's safe to say that even a week after it went live, JWST has proven to be money well spent. Not only did it produce its first official deep space images on the 12th of July, but scientists announced a week later that it had discovered a 13.5 billion-year-old galaxy, the oldest in the universe ever seen by human eyes. How amazing is that? It's awesome to see science come this far, and we are so excited to find out what secrets of the universe are discovered next. That's a wrap for this video. How scared are you now of deadly space trash? Let us know in the comments below. Make sure to give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel for more videos like this. See you in the next one.